So Bitcoin dominance has crossed levels we've not seen since 2021, and it's going higher by the looks of it. Historically, though, this is a massive warning sign for your altcoin, so be mindful of that. But the question is, and what we need to answer, how high can we go? What will it mean for Ethereum, like Solana, XRP, and how powerful is Bitcoin in this cycle? So if you don't know what this is yet, this is a macro analysis sort of indicator to tell you the percentage strength of Bitcoin versus, say, Ethereum, Solana, XRP, right? On the screen, this is the dominance chart. It's quite simple. It's a bit horrible, I know. But I talked about this years and years ago, and now it's quite an important metric. You got to look at other things in conjunction with it, obviously, but we are now at 63% on a full-on closey sort of situation here on the daily time frame. Mentioned in the intro, we have closed for the first time on a weekly time frame at levels over 4 years ago. Wow. But why is this important? We're going to look through history. We're going to talk about it. The first thing I want to make a note of, Ethereum is literally on its knees. It is begging for this to be stopped. It's been brutalized. It's been punished. And this is one of the main reasons why I believe dominance is going to go even higher than 63%. But we need to look into that. Let's get into it. If you want more content like this, please do hit that subscribe button, like, and comment. Let me know in the comments, how high do you think Bitcoin dominance is going to go? And what does this mean for your altcoins? Are you struggling with altcoins right now? So one of the big things that I need to talk about here, and talking about experience-led stuff here, in the prior cycles, right, we'd always get mini little alt seasons coming about, right? Even in 2022. And I'm going to explain one of my big reasons why I think that's a bit of an issue moving forward, and I'll explain, right? However, going back, boom, you've now landed in 2017. So we've obviously had this big, massive run in 2017. Essentially, when we talk about the growth and the situation around altcoins and the situation around them, dominance dropped a significant chunk. It dropped by 60.77%, roughly, from the inception and birth of Ethereum with its ICOs, right? So it started to basically breed like a stray dog or a stray cat, and just all these new tokens came out of nowhere. And then dominance dropped, and it all changed. Not to mention how exchanges pivoted away from Bitcoin only on exchanges to USD, Tether, whatever, right? And then it started to change the dynamic of the market. But I believe, my opinion, the market dynamic has changed even more going forward. Now, this is going to scare people. I'm sorry. We'll talk about it in more detail. But you got to think how the market has changed in terms of altcoin opinion. We are no longer getting these little alt seasons. Now, obviously, big, massive rise here, and it dropped quite a bit in terms of this period too. Now, these little drops that we do get little cyclical little alt seasons, right? And it was quite good. We used to get them every 2 or 3 times, 4 times a year, very much quite easily. And it used to be very, very cyclical, but everything rose at the same time. High tide rises all ships. It used to happen a lot. That doesn't seem to be happening right now. Obviously, the big alt season, boom. And then even before all this. But the situation that we need to look at is the fact that Bitcoin has led the entire way throughout time. The weakness of Ethereum is important here. There's been a little bit of strength in Solana. There's been a little bit of strength in XRP recently, but Ethereum has been the main catalyst here, alongside other charts too. Now, in my opinion, reason number one that we are going to see bigger dominances and less alt seasons is probably because of the institutional investment flow with the ETFs. This is the situation we find ourselves in. Since its inception, we could argue that alt seasons have been very much few and far between and very, very dry. Going on to the chart, as I've alluded to it, since 2023, the bottom of Bitcoin, and I know I get a lot of comments in the comment section go, but we haven't had a bull market. We have. Bitcoin went from $15K to $110,000. Pretty big. If you're in Bitcoin, you felt it. I did. I felt a big shift in my wealth because of it. But not everyone was in Bitcoin, and I think a lot of people missed that. So again, we talk about this big, massive run, and the higher the time frame you go, the stronger this looks. This is not showing any sign of weakness, in my opinion. And when we talk about the catalyst of, like, obviously Bitcoin rallying and into the strength of the Bitcoin ETF, it's just gotten stronger. Now, this is going to be a bit of a mind blower. This is a total 3/BTC chart. This is on the monthly time frame. This is on the weekly time frame. Now, I don't like these charts too much because ultimately you've got a situation where we're getting a dilution of altcoins. More and more altcoins are diluting more tokens. The values will naturally go up. As I mean by this, if you go in the total 3 chart, naturally, this is going to be worth more as more tokens are on the market. I know it's only registering the 125, but they're diluting a lot of coins because they're quite strong assets and they've been put through the VC mill. But realistically, look at that chart there and it's like, yeah, cool, that's value. In dollars. Market capitalization. I know. Bear with me. But the dominance chart in terms of the BTC pair of it is not showing anything like that sort of growth. Liquidity, in my opinion, is draining out of altcoins. It's draining out the entire, right now, it's draining out the entire market. Gold is doing well. S&P 500, the NASDAQ, everything is uncertain with tariffs. The dollar, the DXY is dropping quite a lot recently, right? So where's that liquidity going? Why do we all believe now that alt season is going to happen when there's no liquidity anywhere else? Altcoins are going to get drained first. Simple as that. That's where it's going to come from. And it's going to be a bit of an issue. So your alt season, I don't think it's anytime soon, put it that way. And the final thing is this. Why are people going to be interested in altcoins versus Bitcoin? They're going to be obviously interested in Bitcoin. It's the proven winner. It's still in an uptrend. Big buyers are buying it. BlackRock's buying it. Michael Saylor, MicroStrategy, and all these little weird facets that I don't quite fully understand myself, but they're creating debt to buy Bitcoin as an asset. Whether that does morph into us acting more like gold and becoming a stronger asset, I don't know. But let's be honest here. Again, I'm going to say something that's kind of a little bit of a bonus tip. People are probably, in my opinion, attached to their Bitcoin. They've made money. Why would they want to sell it for altcoins that lack of liquidity and not much conviction there? Until that conviction returns and the tail of the tape changes, I don't think people are going to do it. So let's talk about the reason why things are looking pretty dire. The signal is this. The Ethereum BTC. Now, I've very much been against the fact that we were going to go down here, but it is happening. My opinion was, back in, 2 years ago now, I didn't think Bitcoin dominance would get this high. I didn't think Ethereum would drop this low. I had a feeling Bitcoin dominance would go high, but not this high, in this cycle vein. Multiple cycles, multiple community situations around it, recognition, all that kind of, accountability, recognition. You wouldn't think Ethereum would go this low, right? You wouldn't, would you? But it has, and it is, and it's mad, right? So where does it bottom? Where does it bottom? I know, this is baffling. So we've got two big boy levels, right? The first level, in my opinion, is where we are roughly not that far away from, around 1700 sats. The next one is about 700, 800 sats. This is the way we need to look at it because this is probably going to be the one that marks the bottom. We need this to bottom before I think dominance comes down. Now, that doesn't mean you just got to fly into altcoins when this bottoms. You got to wait for a change of character, a trend change, so to speak, and we're fucking miles away from that. Bear with that. So, I know people are frustrated in the comments, but I know you don't want to hear this, but buying into stuff like this is pretty dicey. The market's changed, and that's the top and bottom of it. Now, other situations we can argue Solana is also dropping. The market has turned on Solana. That is down quite a significant chunk. Even XRP. To all your XRP army people, this is still at levels of 2020. Even though it did a nice little pump, it still isn't really marching forward. Everything is just looking a little bit sour right now. So the ultimate question is, how high did this go? And what should we look out for? That's the big thing as well. We need to look out for certain things. Now, I've mentioned before, Ethereum could go lower, right? Obviously. Currently, right now, Ethereum is 8.28% of the market. That could go even lower. Solana's 2.27%, and I think XRP is about 4%, give or take roughly. They're big assets. And also you got to think about the fact of stable currencies in there too. This is looking pretty ugly. And I don't think it's going to stop anytime soon. Now, I don't like doing TA on the dominance chart. I think it's a bit wishy-washy because of ultimate things. For me, you got to look at how low the other dominances are going. What are those Bitcoin pairs doing? Will we get a bounce? Yes. How high is that bounce going to be? I don't know. That's the big thing. if we've got drained liquidity, if we've got institutional investing, if we've got people looking at Bitcoin more, you might not get big of an alt season. You might get niche bull markets in little narratives, but that might not mean we melt down to certain levels. Now, ultimately, you can see there has been a big change in how this dominance works with the, let's just say the inception of altcoins. But over the last few years, you may have noticed something. These lows are not as low now. Low, and we pulled up. Didn't go as low. So where do we go? Well, that's the thing. The situation we may find ourselves in, we might actually go up towards certain big levels. Oopsie, wrong button. We may go to certain levels such as, 786, which will be in between them two gaps here, right? That red line, around 66% potentially. That could mean another 3% dropped on the rest of the altcoin market, but it may actually go much higher than that. It might be going above 70. That could be really hurtful and interesting. So what my ideal scenario would be, wait for a change of character. You need to wait for that change in the market and the reversal sign on these higher time frames, a weekly and the monthly time frame. And you need to be very, very patient, because what if we just keep on going and we go back up to certain normality levels and like altcoins are ruined? Bitcoin is just the power of the market right now. That's where we might find ourselves into. Now, I alluded to it before. The catalyst of the market is not really here. The dollar is dropping. The tariffs are creating absolute carnage in the market. And that's not good for altcoins at all. It's not even good for Bitcoin right now. I alluded to it. Dollar is dropping and gold is looking like it's on a rip-roaring run to the upside. And it is pulling back, and it's about time it actually started pulling back. And now here we are pulling back finally. But that gives us that indication of uncertainty. Why would you want to ape into altcoins? Another thing as well, which is often overlooked, is the VIX is higher than normal. It's quite high. Biden's, area was about 12, 13% for ages. So yeah, dominance is going higher, I think. A lot higher than we think. Are we ever going to get an alt season? There's stuff has to change. It doesn't just happen. Liquidity has to come from somewhere, and I don't see it flying into the market on a button click like that. So there we go. Hope you enjoy. Bit of the old bring out the dominance video. It's been a while. Video here. Please do watch it. Explains why I'm no longer holding as many altcoins as I did.